Hotline Miami is one of my favorite game series. The first game is one of my favorites. Weirdly enough, this game was made in 2012, and surprisingly, it holds up to this day. First, I want to mention a lot of good stuff. The graphics are a really unique and simple mix with the late 80s Miami City vibes. At the time, this was really new, and I think this was one of the games that helped kickstart the indie game genre. But I'm going to tell you guys about this game. It's amazing, probably one of my top 10 games. Everything about it flows really well. The different masks, the amount of weapons, levels, and probably one of the most interesting stories without the protagonist talking. Well, the only way he can talk is by violence. But there is one problem with the game, and it's the enemies. Some enemies can be taken out by one shot, some take two more, and sometimes the enemy will take a while to register you. And in all honesty, this is my only complaint about the game. Everything is really fast due to the movement. Everyone can easily kill you. However, you can do the same. Now, two things are going to happen when you walk into a room. One, you kill everyone until more enemies in the next room comes out. Two, you're dead. You can go melee, but some enemies you have to shoot, which is really rare. But the guns are really good. Some are really weak, but are silent, loud, but can kill more than one enemy. But for newbie players, usually try to bottleneck everyone, which is a good strategy, but not all the time. The animal masks are previous characters that did the same thing as you, but failed, and they provide so much world building. And I need to mention that there are mods in the second game that tells the story of most of the vigilantes. My personal favorite is Brandon, who's really fast, and Tony, because if you run out of bullets, you can get a few quick kills in with your fist. Another great thing about this game are the levels. They do a really good job from a top-down perspective. Most of the levels consist of apartments and other businesses run by the Russian gangsters. My favorite is the nightclub level, since it's the only one that's really dark and fast-paced music. And don't get me started on the music. It's very retro with a lot of electronics. It's one of those games where it's more of a $30 soundtrack. Most of the music in the first part are a little slow, but picks up the pace. After you're done, the music stops at the end of the level, making you go all the way back to your car as you look at the mountain of bodies you racked up. Last but not least is the story. It's inspired by Drive for many reasons, and you can spot the driver's jacket in one of the levels. The character you play as is a mute named or alias Jacket. He's what I call a literally me character. But there's one thing I don't get. How in the world does he not have a heat stroke? He wears a jacket in the spring and the summer of Miami, Florida. I guess most of the levels take place during night, which is really hard to tell since everything is pixelated. Anyways, the story. Not much is given to you. You don't have a lot of people to interact with, but something is always off about everything. The only way to learn the story is by readables in your apartment. But the one big problem I have is how short the game is. In total, it took me about a few hours and I was already at the end of the game. But if you are a new player, it might take a little longer. But even for a new player, the game is still short. I don't want to spoil the story too much in case anyone wants to play this game, which is always dirt cheap. In my all honest opinion, this is a great game. It's fast and hits hard. The problems it might have are really minor and are not game breaking. And the best thing about this game is that it's on every platform. Although I prefer the PC version for how simple it is. The PS4 is a little difficult to control. It's hard to move around and lock on targets, but I still played it fine. So it all depends on what system you have. Overall, the game is fun, but lacks in story, which the second game makes up for. This game is an 8 out of 10. I would definitely pick it up on sale and try it for yourself. And before I go, I wanted to mention that I've been really busy these past few months due to schools and other projects I'm currently working on. I'm currently working on Mortal Kombat Armageddon review and another game I'm reviewing, which will be my biggest video review, so stay tuned for that. I'm Unique Frequency, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.